If you've used previous versions of GarageBand, you might have been looking around this version of GarageBand and wondering where all the effects processors went. Yes, you can select individual tracks here and open up the library to adjust their sounds, but in previous versions of GarageBand, you could find all sorts of professional-level plugins to apply things like compression, delay, and reverb. Even if this is your first time using GarageBand, you may still be wondering whether it's possible to apply plugins like those. Happily, the answer is yes. Apple has just hid them a bit this time around, but you can enable and use audiounits plugins. Audiounits are plugins that are used by applications like GarageBand, Logic Pro, and others to process audio, and all Macs include a collection of Apple audio units. You can also download audiounits plugins from other manufacturers. One thing to be aware of, though, is that GarageBand is a 64-bit application, and only 64-bit audiounits plugins can be used with it. So if you're thinking of purchasing additional plugins, just bear that in mind. But let's take a look at how to enable audiounits in GarageBand. First, go to GarageBand Preferences, and here under Audio MIDI, just make sure audiounits is checked. Just to be clear, audiounits are not part of GarageBand, but rather are built into the Mac operating system. All we're doing here is telling GarageBand that we want to be able to make use of those plugins in GarageBand. And that's pretty much all there is to enabling audiounits. Then you just select the track you want to process, open up the Smart Control panel, and then click the Info button, making sure you can see the controls first, and then clicking on Info. Now you should see the audiounits section here, but if you don't, you'll have to adjust the height of the Smart Controls panel. And there it is. To access and apply a plugin here, just click in the Audio Effects bin, and from the audiounits menu, you'll see a list of all the audiounits manufacturers whose plugins you have installed. I just have the Apple plugins here, but as you can see, there's a large selection of processors we can apply. For example, if I wanted to add some reverb to this track, I could come over to AU Matrix Reverb. Now, the first time you do this, you'll see this message saying that you're adding an audiounits plugin, and do you want to keep any existing effects that you've applied to the track or bypass them? This is entirely up to you and what sound you're trying to achieve. But I'll use keep for this example. And then the window for that plugin opens where you can adjust its settings. So now if we solo that track, we should be able to hear some reverb. I can choose a couple different presets here. Now, I'm not going to be getting into how to operate plugins during this course. Working with reverb can be and is an entire course itself. If you're interested in learning more about reverb, check out the course at lynda.com called Foundations of Audio Reverb. I'm just going to close this for now. And you can see now that the effect appears here in the effects bin. You can apply up to 4 plugins per track. When you roll your mouse over a plugin, 3 buttons appear. The power button toggles the effect on and off. The center button opens the plugin settings. And clicking the button or menu on the right lets you replace this plugin with a different one, or you can choose no plugin to remove it entirely. You also have the option of accessing the effects settings from here as well. To add another plugin, just click in one of the blank areas and select the plugin. So here's a multi-band compressor. Compression is another very important part of mixing and working with audio. If you don't have much experience with compression, we have a course called Foundations of Audio, Compression, and Dynamic Processing, and that covers all kinds of plugins and ways to play with the dynamics of your audio. But for now, I just wanted to make sure you were aware that it is possible to enable Apple audiounits plugins in GarageBand. With the right know-how, you can really enhance the sound of your tracks and create a great sounding mix. So be sure to check out those other courses in the Foundations of Audio series to learn more about working with plugins.